Oh my god, I just had a heart attack. Right as I played the intro, my dog went nuts. I was like, no, that is not the way you start a show. Hello, good morning, good evening, and wherever the sun may find you. My name is Walt, and this is Coffee and Concepts on Keystroke Medium. I am super stoked because we have Keystroke Post Extraordinaire, longtime friend, and book construction expert, Mr. Drew Avery. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Oh, living like I stole it. I got to tell you, the whole beard thing, it's like it's really working for you. That Navy life is really murder on the facial hair, huh?
It is, but good thing about shaving every day for 20 years is it comes in nice and thick.
Yeah, right on, right on.
That's
If I
also a
sneeze
curse.
too, what is it?
Also a little bit of a curse.
Yeah, yeah. If I sneeze too hard, my beard's like, poof. So I have to, hold it in. Um, but yeah, I was super excited to get to you because we were talking with Patty, and he was talking about book design and layout. We really got rolling onto how it looks in an RPG, but we didn't really get into the feel of what it might look like for novels and stuff. So I was like, yes, I must grab him and put him in the chair. I promise it won't be the hot seat. It'll just be the chair, hopefully comfortable.
Yeah, the chair with the little.
No, not that one either. No, that's a little too final for my taste. But before we get into all the concept, we have to talk about the coffee. What are you drinking?
Man, I'm drinking some K-Cup garbage. It's nothing special. The only thing special is the Cub. It's got my superheroes on it, man.
Oh, hell yeah. Now, are you a Marvel Cinematic guy or are you a comic book guy?
Man, I'm old school, man. I grew up with the comic books. I like the cinematic universe. Who doesn't want to see their heroes come to life? But
right on.
I was a Marvel fan, early '90s.
Oh, right on.
The X-Men cartoon is what got me.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
so good! Did you hear the voice actor for Cyclops just passed away?
I did not hear that.
Yeah, from that '90s cartoon. I guess he passed away from just things wear out, people wear out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was very sad to hear that because that's that condescending tone was like everything you heard in the barracks on a Saturday morning. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, the guy that was too good to get in trouble with the higher ups.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. As far as the coffee I'm drinking, I got this new blend from Papua New Guinea. And Papua New Guinea, I can never pronounce that correctly. It always hurts my face. But it's got like hints of almond, and it's kind of buttery tasting. I'm really digging it. It's a little bit different because I usually like really dark coffee, so it's always got that smoky taste to it. But this stuff is it's a medium roast, so it's not as heavy on your tongue, and it's like I said, it's got like a buttery finish that's kind of almost creamy. And I don't put anything in my coffee, so I thought that was pretty cool when I found it. So, put it in the French press and take it for a test. Was like, yes, this is great.
It's good whenever you have other people that are coffee connoisseurs. That way you can kind of taste some of the stuff that you might not typically get.
Oh yeah, that's how I got Vietnamese coffee. I had never had it before, and somebody let me try it, and I had never had condensed milk in my coffee before, and I was yeah. I mean, it was like, are you putting butter in my coffee? And which is also a thing. Which I was like, no, I'm all set with that. I'll try it, but no. But yeah,
the only thing I won't try is the cat turd coffee. I don't know what it's called, but
Kopi Luwak. Yeah.
I'm not into that.
In one of the stories I'm writing right now, somebody had to explain what it is, and they kept saying they're like, yeah, it's eaten by cats. It's like, no, it's a civet. A civet cat? No, it's like a marsupial. What? Why are you throwing these awful words at me about cat poop coffee?
I just keep it simple, man. I'm from Mississippi.
Yeah, right on.
They're all cats.
Yeah, pretty much. And hopefully they don't end up on your dish or underfoot. But speaking of keeping it Mississippi, I wanted to talk today about book construction. Oh, we have Rick Partlow chiming in saying, hi. Hey, Rick.
What's up, Rick?
Rick's good people.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about book construction because, like I said before, we were on the show a couple weeks back and we were doing RPG layout, and it was like, there's all these different elements that go into a role playing game page because usually the art is almost used like a placeholder or a bookmark to help you find things you're looking for throughout the text. Whereas in a novel, it's all about the text. First of all, how did you get into putting books together for people?
It was one of those situations where people were talking about vellum, and I don't know about you, but I would spend hours with a Microsoft Word document trying to make it fit for an ebook, and then trying to add the page numbers for the paperback was another few hours of trying to get stuff going. I could make the Word document for an ebook, by the time I even got vellum, I could do that in like 30 minutes. It wasn't that big of a deal. And a lot of it is as you go and you're writing the book, you can do little things like use your chapter heading and stuff like that.
Oh, right on.
And it kind of does things for you in a, kind of a clean way, and it makes converting it to the ebook that much easier. But when I was trying to get PDFs for paperbacks made, things of that nature, I tried the draft to digital tool to convert all that stuff over. I'd use a Kindle paperback KDP template. But if, say, you forgot to tell somebody what size paperback you were going to go with, and they give you a book cover that converts well at 6x9 but doesn't convert well at 5x8, then you got to do all that work all over again, reformatting the book. And man, I was just pulling my hair out, and people were talking about how vellum makes it so easy. I was like, well, I'll give it a shot.
Right on.
At that point, I had like 20 books. I was like, this will pay for itself, rather quickly. So,
now, is that something that you can get on both Mac and Windows?
No, just Mac. So I actually had to buy a Mac first. So, but I mean, I got one used. I started small, built my way up to it, and I tried my hand at it. And the reason that I knew vellum would do the job well is because I was paying for my own formatting previous to that, because it was such a pain in the ass,
Oh, right on.
So because of that, I was like, instead of me paying somebody else to do this, that's where I would really, it would pay for itself. I'd have to publish like 5 books and then it would pay for itself. So it kind of seemed like a no-brainer. And then as I was talking about it, some other people were like, oh man, well, if you got that, can you help me out? And I was like, yeah.
This is how it starts.
Yeah. So Rick's in the chat. Rick was the first customer, and I redid, I think, most of his stuff.
Oh, right on. So when somebody comes to you and says, hey, I don't like the way my stuff looks, can you redo it? Do you take the document right down to the nuts and bolts and go from scratch, or do you sometimes work with what they give you and say, nah, I can do this. This is a quick fix?
Oh man, dude, I've gotten so many crazy documents from people that it's kind of, I'm like I don't want to do things super complicated. So I'm like this is my price situation. I try to be competitive with that and be fair about it. It's a service, and how much work I put into it and how much work they don't have to put into it both factors into the value for that. Right. So sometimes people send me something and it literally takes me half an hour and they have a finished product ready to go. And it helps if I know who they are and I know what their style is, because, chapter headings and where they want their author name and book title placed and how they want their page numbers and all that stuff. If you know where to put that stuff to make the client happy, you can do it very quickly. But I've done nonfiction books for people that didn't have a clear vision of what they wanted to do, no clear expectations, and spent weeks working on it. And for that, I did have to adjust the price because of how many images were included that needed captioning and stuff like that. And I know that's a different topic. We're talking about fiction, but sometimes you can't just draw the line and say, this is what my price is. You have to adjust according to how much effort's going to go into it.
Oh, absolutely.
But most of the clients are pretty happy with it as soon as I send it to them. Some of them are like, well, I kind of expected this, and I go in there and I can fix it pretty easily. there are some people that don't understand that the program that I use is based upon traditional publishing standards. So chapter 1 is always going to start on the right-hand side of the page
Right
for a
on.
paperback, and that's coding inside of that program. And there are things that you can do to manipulate it to offset the default. There's some things that are pretty hard lined. Why somebody would want chapter 1 to start on the left, I don't know, but this is just an example of something that is pretty standard in the traditional publishing industry. So when people are using a program like that, you need to have that as an expectation.
Right on. I would assume if somebody wanted to start on the wrong side, they were probably publishing for somewhere in Asia,
Yeah.
where the language is set from the other side. So I mean, that's the only reason.
Yeah.
Unless you
Like,
were talking about like an inlaid map or something like that for like a fantasy series.
right. Well, I mean, Vellum did an update, and supposedly you can do that. I haven't had anybody hit me up to try it yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Right on, right on. Oh my God, that cup is epic. So how much does that cup hold? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I put a lot of frou-frou creamer in it, and then I brew it 12 ounces.
All right on.
And I got that much space left. So I'm going
Right
to go
on.
with probably 16 ounces.
So all of it.
All of it.
Me likey. When you get a layout from somebody and you're getting ready to set up their book, do you based on like story or like maybe a quick synopsis, do you tend toward one type of layout versus another? Like if you're doing sci-fi versus fantasy, do you put like accent elements like at the chapter headings, like chapter 1 with like a little squirrely with a sword through it or something like that for a fantasy, or chapter 1 with like bullet holes for like a thriller or anything like that? Does that come into play a lot?
I've tried it. I didn't like it. And there's an issue reason why. If you use the stock elements, they're cheesy, and most authors don't want to pay for some type of little stock art thing to put into it. If they provide it, I'll put it in there. There was one author that does urban fantasy. She sent me basically what would be like the image for the opening page of the book, like the first thing that you would see after the flyleaf. You would see basically like the book title and author name and stuff in like a elegant font, but it's stylized into like an emblem. I could put those in as long as they're high quality images. Those come out actually looking pretty good. But the chapter header stuff, for some reason, whenever you put them in, they don't come across looking exactly right. So I kind of steer away from them.
So you're looking if somebody wants to put something in, you want something at least like 300 DPI or dots per inch.
Yeah, I want something good. I mean, if they want the stock stuff, I'll give them whatever they want. But whenever I do put them in, I'm like, man, I wouldn't do that. And that might just be me being a guy not liking a bunch of frou-frou. But unless it's in my coffee.
Right on. We don't judge. Yeah. But also like another style choice. So we just talked obviously about putting your starting page on the right because it's an industry standard. Also, when you open up a book, 9 times out of 10, that's what's going to be facing you. So that's obviously where you want that beginning page. What about chapters at the ending at wherever it ends on a page, and then going to the following page for that new chapter? Is that something that you're in for, or do you like, where chapter 1 ends, you give a slight space and then chapter 2 begins, or do you start that clean page with chapter 2?
Oh, clean page, man, all the way. For me, it does two things. One, whenever you put a bookmark into a paperback, and you open it up, you don't have to guess where the start is,
right,
or where you left off, unless you're somebody that is weird and stops reading in the middle of a chapter. But that just shows a lack of discipline.
Right on.
I'm not really into that.
Or the traffic light changed.
Right. But I mean, sometimes I'm cool if somebody reads through a really long chapter and they stop at like a line break or something. Right. I'm not a fascist. But you really should read through the end of the chapter because it's meant to be read as a whole. But yeah, I don't like that whole start a new chapter on the same page that the other one ends. I don't like it in ebooks. I don't like it in paperback. I feel like you should know that there's some closure to that scene, then flip the page or move to the next page and begin again. Maybe that's old school. I know that there's some people that try to do stylistically things different and they'll do like a line break, but it'd be a new chapter. So
Right
you
on.
have like a little inch gap between text and start over again. But anytime I've read a book like that, there's something about that I didn't like. And
Kind of
to
take your
me,
enjoyment out a little bit.
yeah, it took my enjoyment out of it. And when you're kind of like, oh man, you're thinking about that every time you start a new chapter. It's like, oh, they started in such a weird place, and then you kind of get pulled out of the story. So I use the approach of try not to pull somebody out of the story.
Right on. Hell yeah. So as we start closing things down, because I'm empty. Um, the what are some of the things that authors can do to make your job as a layout artist easier?
Clearly defined chapter beginning and end.
Now, do you like? I know in some of the anthologies that I've scripted to, some guys have requested like, hey, put 4 asterisks right at the end, so that I can program a search, and every time I hit that forward on my search, I'll come to those 4 asterisks and find a chapter ending. Do you do stuff like that, or like just make sure it says chapter 1, chapter 2?
However they choose to send it to me, I'm good. Because when you start making demands, it's almost like they're doing the formatting for you.
Right on.
So I mean, there's some, and then the thing is, I receive all kinds of different files. Some people they don't use the standard Microsoft Office Suite version of Word, where you can put in your chapter headings and do your page breaks. Sometimes it's like oh man, it's kind of like Office, but it's not the real Office.
So like Open Office
Yeah, Open
or
Office or
LibreOffice and stuff like
stuff
that.
like that. Google
Um,
Documents, that
yeah,
type of
I'm
stuff.
guilty because I hate Windows, hate it, and I hate Mac OS. So I'm a Linux guy. If I have to use Windows or Mac OS, I use an emulator. So I basically trick my computer into thinking it's another computer that can do that.
Yeah.
But like those open source programs, I like them because um, they're really up to date with stuff. There's constantly revisions to the program, and I don't have to pay $400 every 30 days for like a new content. Do some of those files make it difficult for you, like an
Yeah,
ODT file or stuff like that?
it does. Basically, what I do is I get it, I convert it to a docx,
Right on.
and then I feed it into Vellum. And I mean, honestly, that's an extra 5 minutes on my part
All
to
right.
do something other than putting an obstacle in front of a client saying, "Hey, man, make sure you send me a docx file so I don't have to spend 5 minutes converting it." Like
Right on.
that's crap, you know.
Does it
If I
throw
was,
off the layout in Vellum when that happens?
yeah, sometimes I get some and I have to copy and or have to cut and paste chapters back together. Sometimes people put artifacts in. I don't know if they're doing it in Word. I can't point a finger at a culprit, but there's some that I've taken the file, I've converted it, and they've chopped their chapters into like 7 different pieces per chapter, and I have to
Good
put
Lord.
everything back together. And I don't blame the client. I don't. It's just part of it. And
Right on.
sometimes it's inconsistent. It could just be a glitch on the program's part because I've received multiple files from some of my clients, and maybe one of them out of a batch of 10 does this weird corrupt thing. So if it happens, I just deal with it and I send them the product with no bitches and complaints, and then they look at it and they tell me if they like it or not. And usually, if somebody I work with enough, they're like, "Thanks, dude," and move on.
Right on. Yeah, you did one of my short stories for me, and yeah, fantastic job. Came out perfectly. The what do you call it? Through the chapter headings in the front and the table of contents, you can click and go right to those chapters. I mean, it was a nice, clean layout. Really, really enjoyed your work. So,
Thank
like I
you.
said, I was happy to get you on here and talk about this stuff. Of course, Rick Partlow says Drew does a great job. So, and then Josh Hayes saying, of course, fear the beard. So you better put it in DocX or else. If we can get you back on to talk a bit more about formatting or anything you have coming on, could we coerce you into doing that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, all right. We can bribe in coffee. It's fine as long as we can fill up the Marvel Comics mug. It's it's rock and roll, cops and robbers, and Dunkin' Donuts. Uh, so I want to thank everybody because 1,000 subscribers. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hit that like, click that bell so that way you can get informed when we go live because apparently right now I'm schizophrenic and I can't make a 7:30 a.m. time hack. So I'm going to go wherever the interviews find me. Mondays, Keystroke Medium Live with Josh, Scott, and Chuck, where they break down all sorts of things and sometimes get on guests and talk about the craziness. From their break, Kayleen and Lauren will be coming back for the writer's journey, where they tackle concepts to help make you a better writer, or if you're dipping your toe into the pool for the first time, maybe teach you how to swim. And of course, Josh Gayu doing long form storytelling on our YouTube video page. Drew, thank you so much for coming out, man. I apologize, I was a little late. I was like fighting through traffic, and there were squirt bottles and cats, and it was insane. So
I appreciate you having me.
Oh, appreciate it, man. And just remember, fear the beard, drink the coffee, Keystroke Medium, reading, writing, and a little bit more here, and chase us down. Thanks.